Welcome to Examining Tax Policy. I'm Amy DeLaura, and I'm here today with Kip Edinburgh, who is the Senior Vice President, Government and Industry Relations with the Association of Equipment Manufacturing. Quite a title, but that basically means you're just here to help the industry, right?
Yeah, we're advocating for the 2.3 million men and women of the equipment manufacturing industry.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. We are talking about the One Big Beautiful Bill, which, after the one not so beautiful breakup between Elon Musk and Donald Trump, people need a little bit more convincing to be in support of this bill. So why is AEM in support of the reconciliation bill?
Well, let's look back to 2017 when President Trump shepherded the then Tax Cuts and Jobs Act through Congress. That, for equipment manufacturers, led to record investment, record job creation, record wage growth for the next 3 years. Now, unfortunately, a lot of those provisions have either expired or are expiring this year. And so if we want to supercharge our economy, and if we want to provide that rocket fuel that both President Trump and Elon Musk have talked about, then we do need Congress to move expeditiously to renew and strengthen those tax provisions.
What are the tax priorities that are the most important for AEM in the industry right now?
Well, there's a host of them. Obviously, protecting the 21% corporate tax rate, increasing the pass-through deduction for small and mid-sized companies and making it permanent, reviving expensing of capital equipment purchases. But primarily, it's about incentivizing domestic R&D. When the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act passed 7 years ago, along with it passed a harmful provision, and we're going to geek out here a little bit about tax code, in Section 174. Now, that reversed a 70-year-old policy of allowing businesses to deduct R&D every year. This was never meant to be permanent, but year after year after year, Congress has failed to reverse this policy. And for equipment manufacturers, that has been incredibly detrimental. Instead of deducting R&D every year, they now have to amortize it over 5 years. And according to the Tax Foundation, that has basically turned a 100% deduction into an 89% deduction because of investment and an opportunity cost. At the same time, Amy, other countries have not stood still. They, in fact, a year after that provision took full effect, countries, notably China, started increasing their R&D deduction. China's deduction went from 175 to 200%. So if we want to strengthen American manufacturing, if we want to increase our global competitiveness, it starts with incentivizing domestic R&D.
Right. You mentioned at the beginning the corporate tax rate and some subsidies. While of course supporting the American farmer for subsidizing, but equipment might sound great, that could also, you're telling these voters, that kind of screams the, giving the tax cut to the 1%. I mean, the equipment manufacturing's billion-dollar industry. Why do they need these subsidies? Why should people be in support of this?
Well, a budget is about priorities, right? And as an industry, we are embracing the priorities of President Trump, which is making sure our tax code is wired for growth. These, yes, are incentives, but they do help the industry, in our case, the equipment manufacturing industry, do what we do best, right? Which is invest in our communities, grow our businesses, and create more family-sustaining jobs in America. And if we can do that, that helps everyone. That helps the farmers that you mentioned. It helps the small towns in rural communities around the country. So when it comes to a budget, when it comes to priorities, this is going to supercharge the economy. It is going to lead to more jobs here in America, higher paying jobs, more opportunities for America. And so that's why we're all in favor of it, and that's why we need Congress, notably right now the Senate, to move expeditiously so we can get these provisions renewed and strengthened, and we can keep doing what we do best, right, which is to grow the economy.
Is there any way Congress could go further in helping out, like you said, these American farmers, small towns who need these?
Well, Congress can always go farther, right? I mean, and right now,
they can always spend more of our taxpayers'
well,
dollars.
or they can make the tax code better, more efficient, right? Because it comes down to competition. This is a global economy that we operate in, right? If you're building tractors in Iowa or combines in Nebraska or excavators in South Carolina, you're competing with companies around the world. And we want to make sure that we build the best possible products here in America. so we can sell them to customers around the world and outcompete our competitors, so we create more jobs here. We can only do that if we have a tax code that is, as I said, wired for growth, right? So can Congress do better? Of course they can. We can get into Section 199A, which the House, the way they treated that by extending it, expanding it to 23%, making it permanent. The Senate rolled some of that back. We'd like to see more incentives for domestic energy production, which will lower cost of energy, again, make us more competitive. Of course, there are going to be improvements at the margins. But right now, what we need Congress to do more than anything else is just to move forward, get this passed, get it to the president's desk, ideally before the August recess, so we can have a great signing ceremony at the White House and then move on with investing in America, creating more jobs, creating more wealth for everyone.
All right, well, we'll see how far the Senate's able to get by that August recess.
Far enough, we hope. Far enough.
Putting a lot of faith in these guys.
Yes.
All right, well, Kip Edinburgh with the Association of Equipment Manufacturers, thank you so much for joining me today. You can get more exclusive interviews, straight news, and conservative views at washingtonexaminer.com.